Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Tracy Sternberg, Director of Programs and Sponsorship with NC Tech, and we are so glad that have joined us this morning. I'm filling some very big shoes this morning as Michelle is off to jury duty, so she's not able to join us. So I'm just here to kick us off and then pass the baton over to Yesenia with Lean In. But again, thank you all for being here. NC Tech is excited to again continue our partnership with leanin.org, the nonprofit founded by Sheryl Sandberg, former COO of Meta and author of Lean In, to help us with our Lean In circles for women, where they can learn to network and lead. And we're, again, thrilled to offer this in 2025. We appreciate your interest in leading a circle and for joining us today to learn more about what it means to lead a circle and what resources are available to you. As I mentioned, we launched these circles last year at our Summit for Women in Tech in 2023, with women participating in close to 30 circles. We've gotten some great feedback and also learned some things about how we can enhance the experience for both our circle participants. For many women, sorry, I'm reading this as a stand-in, and my apologies, but for many women, finding connection and support at work is a challenge. About 20% of women say they're often the only woman in the room at work. And since most senior leaders are men, women have less access to mentors, sponsors, and role models who can relate to their experiences. For women of color and women with other marginalized identities, it's even harder for them to find support and navigate the challenges or chart a unique career path. That's where the Lean In circles come in. They provide a great space for women where women can come together in small groups across roles and levels to get peer-to-peer mentorship, connect with others, recognize and combat gender bias, as well as build those important leadership skills. So now I'll turn it over to Yesenia with leanin.org to take it from here.
Hi, Tracy. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for that great introduction. And thank you for reiterating why our partnership is important with NC Tech. And I'd love to thank the NC Tech team that have helped put together Circles programming at NC Tech. That's Tracy, Michelle, Alex, and Michaela Smith as well. Thank you so much for your partnership. You've made it easy to work with you, and I'm really excited and proud to be here. What a great turnout today. And thank you to each of you who showed up today, because you're going to be part of this journey that's going to make this change and make impact and have an impact on the women around you and this network that you're strengthening. So I'm going to share my screen, and just keeping in mind, we are recording this session for any potential circle leaders that weren't able to make it today. This training today is very much about you, and what you'll take away today is tools on how to be a circle leader for circles. And if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. Alex is my co-host today, and he'll be monitoring the chat if you have questions. So let's get started. So my name is Yesenia Nelson, and I am NC Tech's Lean In Account Manager. And my role here is to support NC Tech in scaling this program, Circles. Lean In org, just as Tracy mentioned, we are a nonprofit, and our mission, our sole mission, is to help women achieve their ambitions. And we're doing that by creating a more equitable world with the research and content and programs that we develop and scale. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to learn how to lead a Lean In circle. And I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed or feel like you have a whole skill set you have to learn. This content is designed for anyone to step into a leadership role, even if you've never managed a team before, you've never managed a person, or you've never even facilitated a meeting. We'll talk a little bit about why we're here. We'll dive into the Circles meeting content and give you a preview of what the tools look like that you'll have access to. We'll talk about what it takes to lead a circle, and then follow up with some next steps, timeline, and what you'll need to do in the next few days to get your circle started. So why we are here, I think Tracy set it up great. I won't rehash much here other than we're proud to provide circles and the content. We've worked with brain experts from around the globe, from some of our best institutions, to develop this program and the content and even the format. to help bring women together in a way that is powerful. And I'm really excited for each of you because you're going to be leading that at NC Tech. Tracy already mentioned a few of these, so I'll just rehash just the ones that I think are important for you to carry into your circles. And that's that, we are not going to change the organizations necessarily where we work. Our goal really is to teach women and give information and give validation that the barriers and challenges and the biases that you experience are going to be there. And it's important for us to learn how to navigate that together. And that's what these circles will help you do. I'll go here. So I'd like to take a few minutes here and would kindly ask you each to just reflect why you are here today and what's your why for leading a circle. And while you're noodling on that, and I'll share why I'm here today. And then feel free to drop in a few minutes, or as you're ready, drop in the chat why you're here today in a few words. But I'm here today because I have a lot of experience in corporate America. I worked for the Hershey Company in sales for about 10 years and worked my way through the ranks, and observed and experienced a lot of the biases and challenges that women are up against. And I've also led a women's ERG, a Latino ERG at Nielsen Media, for 10 years as well. And so I'm very familiar with the challenges that we have, very familiar with rolling out initiatives. And my passion is motivating and inspiring others. And I believe that having a lane to do that and taking advantage of it is important. And that's why I'm here. So I'd love to see in the chat, or if anyone wants to come off mute and raise their hand and share with us why you're here today. I see some coming in. Oh, wonderful. I see some circle members, participants from the last cohort that are here to lead. That's wonderful. Female entrepreneurs. Yes, it's astonishing and amazing and so proud to see the numbers of entrepreneurship and how many are women. It's really not surprising when we think about it, but it is such a critical part. We make up such a critical part of entrepreneurship. Education, see passion for helping others, provide opportunities, definitely opportunities. I think immediately in a circle, you already expand your network with more women. That's the first benefit. Male-dominated careers, industries, all of those. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. If there's anybody that wants to come off mute, feel free. Board of advisors, group mentoring. The group mentoring is key. I think there are many of us who have a lot of wisdom and knowledge that you want to share, and often finding the right lane, the right amount of time to help share that knowledge is often the biggest challenge. And so this is a great place to mentor at scale. You can work with 8 women versus 8 hours, one person each. And so really glad to hear that there's people here who want to do that. I love helping women grow and connect. Thank you for sharing that. Great. Okay. Oops. Great. Well, that's what Lean in Circles are for, and we're all here for the right reasons. So welcome, and let's dive into the next part here. Sorry, I'm in trouble with my... So how do circles work? There are some people who are here today who have already participated in a circle, and so this will be review for you. But and if you didn't have a chance to make it to the kickoff, we did go in a little more depth of what it's like to be in a circle. But I'll give you a high level overview here today. So circles would be about 8 to 10 members. You'll meet about once a month for 60 minutes to 90 minutes. And at NC Tech, we have in person. There are some circles that are set up as in person and some that are set up 100% virtually. We know that virtual works just as great and allows you to not have the barrier of geography. So it allows you to expand that network even further. The program will run for about 6 months. There's 6 meetings in total, and we will provide you all of the tools, all of the content and all of the structure. As far as tools and what they look like, you'll have access on the landing page for NC Tech as a member. You'll see links to the Lean In website where you can gather all of your materials for each of the topics that you'll be choosing. But basically what it looks like is we provide a video. And again, all of our content is backed with research, our Women in the Workplace report, if you're aware of that report, but we can link after this call. But the videos are structured in a way where it's really an opportunity for everyone to learn. And I want to reiterate that as the circle leader, you are also engaging and learning at the same time as your circle. It's not like you're going to be the instructor. You're facilitating in terms of helping to make sure that everyone has access to show up to the meeting, and you're setting up and laying the groundwork, but you're actively engaged and also learning at the same time. So I don't want you to feel like you're going to be missing out on any of the learning. And then we'll provide a meeting guide. So for each of the videos, there's a discussion guide that will provide you, and it will have down to the minute the agenda and all of the tools that you need to run your meeting, as well as even an icebreaker ideas, which I think is fantastic. I know I'm always struggling to find an icebreaker last minute. And so it takes all of that work and all of that lift out for you. When you look at your content and decide on what your maybe in thinking about why you're here today and why you want to lead a circle, you may already have an idea or a lane that you want to share. For example, mothers re-entering the workforce or being the only in your particular industry or vertical. You may already have an idea of what that is, but we also have some playlists. So if you're still on the fence or trying to decide what is it that you really want to put forward in your circle, we do have some playlists that are already set up to help guide you. And there's kickoff guides that help keep with this theme. So we have playlists that are set up by identity, as well as just some similar places in life, like leadership fundamentals for working mothers. We know that there's a lot of intersectionality with the women's experience at work. And so we've set up some playlists to help bring some of those themes to bring some of those themes forward. Keeping in mind also that these are not set in stone. These are simply guides. And so you can pick and choose and sprinkle in other types of content based on the circle that you end up forming. Your perspective or your path might change. You might want to take your circle into a different type of content or a different topic, depending on how you see your conversations going. On the website and on your landing page, you'll see a link and this is a snapshot of what it will look like when you go to our website. You can see that there's different types of videos, and they're based on different topics. So building confidence, challenging gender bias, leadership, work-life balance, which we know is a big one as well. And so when you click into these topics, there'll be a discussion guide to help you facilitate for your meeting. In your first meeting, everybody's first meeting should look the same in the sense that it's your kickoff meeting. It's where everyone is getting to know each other. It's where you're setting up what your circle is going to be about. And it's really an opportunity for you to sort of set up not your rules, but your norms. What are your norms going to be in your circle? We respect each other, knowing that some of these topics could be triggering for some women, right? You're going to be vulnerable in some of these conversations, and setting up the norms where what happens in the circle stays in the circle. But again, you can see down to the minute, we will provide all of the content for you. And really take the lift off of your shoulders for that. Let's see this one. So then your ongoing meetings will then start to look the same in the sense of you'll go do a round robin, what's everyone up to, say hello. You'll then get into your topic. You'll watch the video. There will be an icebreaker that we provide. You do your activities, which includes discussions. And then everyone will walk away with their one action. And I want to spend some time talking about the one action. But we'll do that in a few slides. So I'll wait till we get there. This is an example of a playlist. So I showed you at a high level what some of the topics are. But if we look at leadership fundamentals, here's what it looks like in a 6-month path. How to be a transformational leader, how to get the recognition you deserve, how to make assertiveness work for you, how to negotiate and get what you want and what you ask for, and how to find sponsors. I want to mention that recently in conversations with other partners, we have found that sometimes we know there's generational differences and the experiences are different, which can shape your circle a little differently. So if you're thinking about your circle, let's just say you're more early career, you're just entering the workforce, your experience is going to be very different. And so being mindful, there's also nothing wrong with creating a circle that's for Gen Zs or for millennials. Feel free to do that. Be open and honest with what you're putting forward and really try to develop a rich circle with similar experience. I think those we've seen when you're put together with women that are similar in their life path, it really allows you to work and develop and mentor each other in a different way. There's also opportunities where if you are more senior, you've been in a career longer, and you are specifically looking to mentor younger women, that you put that forward and really be honest about what you're doing. And I think that way it gives women a clear picture of what your intentions are. And I think you'll find that there'll be a lot of interest in either way, in either approach, if you do it that way. So we talked about like setting the meeting norms for your circle, and we use this as a guide, and I think they're very simple. It's very easy to communicate these, and you'll find this in your first kickoff guide as well. So first is confidentiality. As we said, what happens in the circle stays in the circle, knowing that women will be vulnerable and sharing stories and information that could be painful, and having compassion for each other. Just because you didn't experience it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen or that it's not real. A lot of women are going to come to the circle looking for validation, and sometimes you don't realize the experiences that you're having are painful, or that other women are experiencing them. You feel like they're unique to you, and so having compassion for each other, and be willing to express yourself openly and honestly, will be very rewarding in your circle. Communication, making space for everyone to talk. This one, I think, I will be honest, a lot of circle leaders have trouble honing in on making space for everyone to talk. There are just naturally some people are more chattier than others, and some are a little more quiet, kind of hang out on the edges. But then you have an imbalance of discussion time. You have someone who maybe talked about one experience the entire time. And so just being mindful of that. Some tips could be, setting up a timer, like let's give everyone 3 minutes. Or if it's a particular topic that you anticipate could be really heavy, there's nothing wrong with giving your circle a preview a couple days before, like, hey, keeping in mind, we're going to be talking about this at our next circle meeting. Start thinking about what your experience, or start reflecting, and that might just help people come to the meeting a little more succinct on what they want to say. But communication, obviously, in a circle and in a virtual environment is going to be important, that we make space for everyone. And also, when we do that, that's going to allow you to get through all of the agenda, which we'll go through next, because of the one action. You don't want to leave the meeting without the one action, and that's at the very end of the meeting. So making sure that you set up strong meeting norms that everyone can adhere to is going to be important for the success of your circle. Last is commitment. Is everyone should be invested in the success of your circle and be fully present. Life happens. We know stuff comes up. Your kids are sick. You can't make it to a meeting. I think one thing that I'll say about circles is that you don't have to do a lot of preparation. This is not one of those types of meetings where if you see it on your calendar for the later today and you stop to think, what did I do to prepare for that meeting? I'm not prepared for that meeting. I think I need to change it. This isn't that type of format. These content, the way we build out the content, they don't necessarily build on each other. So if someone has to miss a circle meeting this month, it doesn't mean that they have lost some impact on moving forward to the next content. They can review that on their own and gain their own knowledge, but it doesn't build on each other that way. And so you could miss a meeting and still come back the next month fully engaged and continuing to learn and take advantage of the learnings in the circle. And then as the circle leader training, there is some prep that you'll do. You'll want to look at the content and reflect and see and think about, what that meeting might be like. And as I was saying just earlier, is if it is a topic that you anticipate that could be heavy or could be triggering, that you think about how you want to set up that meeting in terms of time, making sure everyone has a voice. Maybe that person that never really chats, or is more shy, maybe they go first, or so just trying to share the mic. So, any questions here before I move on? I think the next part is my one action. Yeah. Any questions? I see Sean Ramsey.
Hi, thank you. So I asked this in the chat, but so you talked about the action items and how they're such an important component of each of these calls. Do you build in time in the next meeting to talk about the action items?
Yes.
And okay, wanted to
Yeah,
just make sure.
that's a good
Thank you.
question. So like that would be here, like in member updates. And so
Okay, great.
it would be like go around and share your personal updates. And yeah, and if it was your one action, like if it was from your kickoff call, but assuming like
Hmm.
you've already done that, yeah,
Hmm.
yes, it would be at the beginning, right? Or
Okay.
I think what you'll embrace and what you'll
Hmm.
see is that there's opportunities to connect in between your next call, right?
Mm.
Is that
Okay.
your one action might be, I applied for that job and I'm going to apply for a job. And in a month, it might be I got an interview and your circle might check in with you
Hmm.
and say, hey, how did that job interview go?
Mm.
And you can report that sooner. And so I think what the one action does is it allows you to give sort of that little hook of like, oh, I can check in on that person and I have something to ask them about. It supports the networking component of being in a circle. It reiterates the support that you're giving to the circle, right? And I think what the magic about circles, if for those of you who have already been in a circle, can feel free to come off mute and agree or disagree. But the magic of a circle is that this all will feel very natural and organic because of these conversations that you're going to have. And so it won't feel like you're doing a formal check-in with anybody. It will feel very natural that you walked away from a meeting saying that you were going to do something different or step out of your comfort zone, and the women in your circle will check in on you. So this one action is important. And this is something that for my life, even personally, that I try to do even with my children, right? When we talk about a lesson, like, what are you going to do different tomorrow? Even if it's like you missed your chores today or like what's going to be different. I think that this is a really key part of the conversation. And as I was saying, you don't want to leave the circle meeting without buttoning this up and wrapping this part up. And so making adjustments in other parts of your agenda sometimes will be required in order to get to this. Some circles come up with a system where you can set up maybe a group text chat or an email group, but you can say, let's noodle on this and send your one action in the chat by tomorrow, right? Because that's fair too. Sometimes you're not able to really think it all out on the spot. So there's opportunities to do that. So the one action could be, as I was saying, stepping out of your comfort zone. Here are some examples. I think, and these are popular, like becoming a better public speaker. I don't know anybody throughout their career who hasn't said they want to be a better public speaker, but what does that look like in your action? Does it mean joining Toastmasters or, volunteering to speak at the next meeting even, or something of that nature? But strengthen relationships. I think that one's tough because we don't have time to call everybody, but sometimes that's on your mind and on your heart. Negotiating for a higher salary, I think that those are critical. But what does that look like? And each time that someone is giving an idea, that the circle is also supporting. Oh, I did that last year, and this is how it went. And here are some learnings. Reach out to me if you have any questions, right? And so it just sparks so much additional conversations and additional touch points you can have with everyone. because we've all been there in one way or another, and supporting each other will feel very naturally once you've gotten the swing of going through the entire all of the steps in the circle. I've talked a little bit about best practices, but we have a nice short list here for you as well. So discussing a date and time. So with NC Tech, you're not actually going to do this step. You will pick this ahead of time. You're going to say, this is what's going to work for me. And if you go to the website today, you can see examples from the last cohort. They picked the days. This is going to be on, I saw some that were in person that I just love. Thursdays at 5 p.m. Once a month, right? And so you'll set up the day and time, and then women can sign up for the circle that best fits their schedule. But you're going to decide how you'll stay in touch between meetings. You can do this either at your kickoff, it can be on your agenda. Ask everyone. I think that's an inclusive way to ask. Some people don't like text messages because they get a lot already. Same thing with email, right? And so trying to figure out what works for everyone in the group to get a message out about the circle will be important. And then this third one, I think we see pretty often, which is we see co-leads. Sometimes, if you know you have a busy schedule, but you still really want to do this, and maybe it's unpredictable and you're on the fence, there's an opportunity to add a co-leader here. And this would be, you have your playlist, you decide on the content, and then you sort of pick and choose who's going to facilitate. It helps take the lift off. It also gives someone else an opportunity to be a leader of sorts. And so that's a wonderful way to add someone and then share some of the responsibility and the commitment. And then, of course, as I mentioned, like before your next meeting, making sure that everything is covered for the next meeting, meaning that if you're meeting in person, that you have your room reserved and that you have all that set up and ready for everyone to show up and start the meeting and take advantage of the time that you have. And then also, being a leader in general, like if looking for feedback and seeking feedback is going to be critical. So deciding on how you want to do that. Maybe you do it one-on-one and a text message like, hey, how did you think that meeting went? Or maybe if you have a co-leader, that's a great way to get some feedback as well. Like, how do you think that went? What do you think I could have done different? I think what's amazing about circles is that these aren't your subordinates. These aren't people who work for you. So there isn't a lot of threat in getting feedback. It's all there to make you better and help you be a better leader. Tips for facilitating. I think the circle fundamentals, the ones that we often have to repeat, is the time. So I'll just say that again, that just keeping in mind that reminding everyone that we only have a few minutes for each one. And so we want everyone to be heard, but we want to find different ways. Sometimes you can use a Jamboard where you use sticky notes. You can use the chat for, do you agree with that? And not having to open the mic for certain things. And you'll get into the flow as you move on, but those are just some tips. Setting the tone for conversations with reactions and comments. This one, some of the feedback we've heard is that, some of these topics are triggering, as I mentioned, and we may not always understand someone else's experience. And so having empathy, when even if it's something that's never happened to you, is giving people space to express themselves. And keeping the conversation going. I've said that one multiple times. So as you can tell, that is something that we want to be mindful of, sharing the mic. And for keeping track of asking members to keep track of what's really, not keep track, but share their aha moments. I think the magic of circles is that we're all learning together, and there are these moments where you realize, whether it's you realize privilege you didn't have, or you feel really seen and you weren't aware that you were the only that was having that experience. I think there will be a lot of moments that way. But it's important in your member updates, maybe for your next circle, right? Like, how did you feel about that last meeting? What was something that you didn't know or you didn't expect to learn? For anyone who has been in a circle here at NC Tech, would you like to come off mute? Is there anything else you would add, or in general, if you have, this could be for anybody, is there anything you want to add here on tips for facilitating? And Alex, you can help me if there's anyone in the chat or raising their hand, because I can't see. Can you post the resource? Oh, thank you, Carol. See a few things here. Do you build in time during the meetings to discuss action items? Oh, Sean, sorry, I saw it. Apologize for the delay. Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Um, I had
Yeah,
something. From the circle
sure.
that I was in before, we had one participant who insisted that the statistics in the video were false,
Oh.
that white women were being victimized.
Yeah.
And our leader was clearly not prepared to deal with that. I don't know if there are any
Mm,
resources for, I mean, the rest of us as participants did not expect anything to go that
yeah.
direction, but it can
Yeah, I
happen. It
mean,
can happen.
I it does happen. I think there are a lot of again, depending on your experience, right? Or not even realizing that the experience that you're having is coming from bias. Because yeah, that one's a tough one to sort of push off. I think we'd start with saying by leaning on that same website, you can go to our Women in the Workplace report. This information is self-reported by women in corporate America. It's not something that we're making assumptions about. And we work with top D&I practitioners, brain trusts. It's all listed there, the methodology that we have. Um, these are true and proven research facts. And I think the other part that I think is critical is that companies themselves are also self-reporting what's happening in their organizations. For example, promotions. They're reporting less promotions going to women than there are going to men. That's not a number that we made up. It's a number that they've reported to us. And so I think just as in general, we're going to find people who are naysayers of the research and don't want to believe that their experience has anything to do with their gender or color of skin. I think we find those all the time, and then we just really have to question like, what is it that you're here to do then? Because we're all here knowing that these are barriers and challenges that we're trying to overcome. My role is not to convince you of that. My role is to support you in moving through the barriers and the challenges. If you're not convinced that there's challenges and barriers, then that's not what we're here to do. And that's not going to be the effective use of our time and the women that are here. I hope that helps as a script.
Yeah,
But
definitely. And
it's hard to say.
I mean, it's really hard to predict for all of those
Hmm.
things, but just being aware too that
Hmm.
just because we're in lean in circles doesn't mean people aren't coming in with their own unrealized biases or
Yes.
internalized
Hmm.
misogyny.
We do have, I love the way you said that. I do have, we have but this is your network is set up different, but had we been like in an organization, for example, we do have, and maybe it's something we could talk to leadership with NC Tech as an opportunity there. We have an allyship, and even 50 Ways to Fight Bias, where we teach about bias. Here at Lean In, there's three things that we're focused on for systemic change. The research is one, identify the challenges and barriers. Two is engaging everyone and supporting everyone and educating everyone on the bias, the unconscious bias, and then teaching everyone how to stop it in the moment with actionable phrases and curiosity, like what makes you say that, right? But without those tools, it's hard to, and not everyone having access to the tool at the same time can create some tension in meetings. And so there are resources that we can offer to NC Tech, additional, like the 50 Ways to Fight Bias, as I'm saying, but it's still up to that person to click the button and want to be curious about it. So while I don't have a clear and cut solution, I would just reiterate the purpose of why we're here. And that person will need to reflect on why they're here. And if this isn't, and maybe there's an opportunity as well in your kickoff to reference women in the workplace and just remind everyone, like as a meeting norm, like remember why we're here. Like there are challenges and barriers that women uniquely face over men, and gauging from the get-go, right? I hope that helps, Samantha, in navigating.
Would
Thank
there
you.
ever be an opportunity, or would it, if someone, as Samantha mentioned, that particular woman that continues to be disruptive for the whole, circle, it's a pattern that you see over and over again. Have you ever asked somebody to leave a circle? How do you handle
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I think it's the same way. I mean, we don't want to throw anyone under the bus and say the group
Hmm.
thinks that you need to go. I
Hmm.
think it's like, you know, your you're reminding them of the meeting norms, right? Not even sharing the mic and not having compassion for what other people are going through, even if it's not your experience, and asking them to reflect like why you're here. And say like, hey, all of us are here. You may want to consider finding another circle that aligns more with your perspective. And I think that's a nice way of saying like, hey, we're not all going to fit in this, and there will be other things, personalities. You may all agree that we have challenges, but still personalities don't mesh. I think you have to figure out and have the courage to say, let's find another circle that fits you. Talk to Michelle and Tracy. They're keeping track. There will be keeping track of the numbers of circles. And at the minimum, maybe could say like, hey, there's some circles that only have 3 people, and get a list of those and look at moving. I think as an organization, as a network, I think depending on how you want to handle this, and I'll defer to Tracy and Michelle and the team in terms of maybe putting some language on the website of saying that like, as you go to pick a circle, keeping in mind that this is the purpose of the circle, just the way Tracy started. Like we know that there's challenges and barriers that women uniquely face, and we're here to navigate through those. If you end up in a circle that is hostile or doesn't agree with your perspective, like come to Tracy and Michelle's team first, and let's talk about maybe finding another circle that fits you. Because we don't want anyone to have a negative experience overall, and then you'll know it because people won't show up to the next call, and that's not cool, right? And you've lost your circle. So, um, I hope that helps. And Tracy, if we want to, like, before, like, we can talk about some language that we can add that we could to help you and sort of give some. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, and it's okay if you don't know because I know Michelle's not here, but like, there will be check-ins with circle leaders, like a quarterly call, right, where you can come together. And I think if there's other channels in which you will all be communicating, that those will be things that you'll want to bring to the table and say, we need support moving through some of these challenging people. What are some ways that we can be kind, but also not allow them to take away from the experience of others?
Yeah, and I mean, we definitely want to be supportive to all of you as circle leaders as we move through this process. I've got to feel like this is an extreme outlier, but if you do run into challenging situations, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help navigate.
Yep. Great. Okay, so with the remaining time, we'll go into some logistics about how to create your circle. There are some steps. So thank you for showing up and agreeing to be a circle leader. And there is a registration form that you'll have to fill out a week from today, November 15th. You'll decide on your monthly meeting topics. You'll want to come up with your description and when what your plan is, when you're going to meet with your circle, what day of the week, once a month, and if it's virtual or if it's in person. If you look on the landing page for Lean In Circles on NC Tech, you'll get some ideas and examples of what it looked like to have an in-person one, if that's something that interests you. Or you'll see that the majority are also virtual. There's a picture. Let me just go there now. There's a picture that will be there on the website. As I mentioned earlier, like the team is keeping track if the circles are full or how many members are in each. So then you'll know, or members will know as they go to look at your circle if it's full or not. It will say a couple sentences about what your circle is about and when you're meeting. And on the landing page as well, if you haven't been there yet, you'll see it's very nicely organized. This is my favorite partner page, I have to say, because you have everything here. You have everyone's pictures. You have everything, all the information that you need to know. The timeline is there, why we're here, what the research says. So it's very clear for everyone. and gives you links to our content as well, which is on leanin.org. I wanted to share these examples also so you can take a look at the way that the descriptions are set up. So this one, for example, Clarity Today is very clear. It's going to be about leadership fundamentals, sharing experiences as
Yesenia, we
grow.
can't see your screen.
Oh, really?
So yeah, or at least I can't see
Apologize.
your screen. I don't mean to speak for everybody else, but
I can see
If
it.
you can't see my
can see it.
screen,
I can
you
really,
see.
see can you
that's
see
so
two
weird.
tabs at the
I
top
can
of
see it.
Zoom? There's usually two tabs.
Yeah.
You see it, Sean? There's usually a tab that says
Okay,
like,
I do see it now. I'm so sorry. I
okay,
don't know what
no, it's
happened. I
okay.
saw it earlier and
I've
then it
done
went
that too.
away.
That's happened to me
Thank you.
too. Oh, am I still sharing my screen now or did it go away?
Yesenia, I'm seeing example circle names and descriptions.
There we go. Right? Okay, we're good. You see my mouse? Okay, here it is. Okay, career growth. So I only provided just a snapshot here. If you go to the website today, you'll see there's a lot of different types of descriptions, give you some ideas. As I was mentioning earlier, like don't be shy from saying like this is an early career group. This is a VPs and above, for example, type of group. I think having the more clarity you have, the better quality circle you're going to get. And what I mean by that is sometimes if you're an SVP or a vice president and you have someone in the circle who's an analyst, like the experiences are just totally different and the barriers are different. And so depending on what you're wanting the circle to focus on, if it's not focused on career development, but it's more so on work-life balance, for example, then that won't really matter. So just keeping in mind that those are some of the things that you'll want to just think about as you're thinking about what circle, the type of description that you want to put out there for everyone to sign up for. And then the timeline and next steps. So for those of you who were here for the Circles launch, that was 2 weeks ago. And today we're at the Circle Leader Training. And we've gone over how to be a leader, how to register, how to start your circle. And the due date for registering your circle and submitting your information is November 15th. And then a few days later, they'll go live on the website. You'll see on November 18th. Your description will be there, your picture will be there, and members will get to sign up for the circle that they want to join. And first meetings will start after the holidays, I should say. Are there any questions on the timeline or NC Tech team if you want to add any additional information here?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, just to reiterate what Yesenia has just said, the circles will be virtually. We're encouraging everybody to meet virtually once a month, January through June 2025. Again, to reiterate the date, we would ask that you register your circle by description or area of commonality, a committed week, day, or time that will meet each month, as well as a picture and to confirm your name, title, and company, so we can get that on the website. All circles will be listed on the website for women to learn more about. So in a follow-up to this call, we'll send you a brief online form that we'll need you to submit. So we'll try to make that as turnkey and easy for you as possible. We'll open enrollment starting the week of November 18th. So we will message women to join the circle of their choice. We're putting a max of 10 on each circle, and we will mark circles full when they reach that threshold. We'll do introductions in December. So we'll send you and your circle an introductory email and allow you to kind of take it from there. When scheduling your calls, we would ask that you send calendar invites to your circles for all 6 monthly meetings in advance. So that way folks can kind of block that time and work around it in their schedules. And I think Yesenia has gone over a lot of this, but we'll send a best practices document with some suggestions from last year's circle leaders, in addition to the information from Lean In, to help you facilitate and really have a successful circle. So all these emails will come from Michelle, so be on the lookout for a lot of stuff from Michelle Counton. And I know Alex is on the call and Michaela's on the call they'll probably be assisting as well. It certainly is a team effort on our end, and we really look forward to working with you all on these, and hope to make them super successful this year.
Tracy, do you have recommendations on timing for these calls? What seems to work best, or, is it lunch? Is it morning? Is it evening? Do you have any feedback on that?
Um, Personally, as an event planner, I find morning for something like this is best because you can catch people before they start their workday. But Carol just popped in the chat that her group does 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So that gets out of the workday. So, I would encourage you to kind of check in with your group, maybe offer some suggested times, but then check in with your group as to what might work best for them.
Okay, so we don't have to, when we submit the form, we don't have to give you a set time, because I thought that's what you asked for, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I do think that if you already have a kind of time in mind, maybe including that would be better since you are the leader
Okay.
of the group. And then I did also want to mention keeping it kind of the same date and time or like time of the month and like the same time every month just to keep it consistent. And then
Sure.
people, because I feel like that last year, a little bit of the feedback we got was that if you kind of start to change up the times, it kind of started to peter out or get too kind of confusing or, so keep it at the same time every month is what we suggest. But it's since you're the leader, we kind of would like you to put in your input on what works best for you. And then if it works best for the women joining you, that might be kind of just like a natural way of doing it. So, yep.
All right, thank you. And thank you for sharing that again, Yesenia.
Yeah, I love your page. And there's some great examples there too. So someone asked in the chat about the link, and I think Tracy just mentioned, and Alex reiterated that it's going to be in the follow-up email. So there'll be a link there on registering the registration form that we referenced. That'll be due next week. Wonderful.
And I think Michelle is going to try to get that out tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, so you'll have it pretty quickly. So she's doing the best she can while she's working on this jury. So bless her heart.
I know. Must be a pretty interesting case.
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock on wood because I have never been called to jury duty, and now I'm gonna get called because I said it out loud to too many people. But thank you all so much for being here. Feel free to I'm going to drop my information in here too. Like, just if you have any questions about the research or you're interested in learning about the research, I have some decks, some slides that we can share that you can socialize either in your circles, and it's like 10 slides. It's not a lot compared to the report. So happy to share that. And I'll just share that we reached a milestone, 100,000 circles around the world this past month. And we're gonna, Cheryl Sandberg and Rachel Thomas, who's our CEO, they're gonna host a fireside chat in a few weeks in December, actually. And I will share that invite with NC Tech to share with the community. But would love to see you guys there. Love for you to hear Cheryl and Rachel talk. They're so motivating and inspiring, and I think you'll find some good nuggets for you to take back to your circles. So look out for that. And I see that Cindy has a question.
I do have a question. Thank you. To the team at NC Tech, is there a mid-course kind of gathering or session for the group leaders to check in? How's it going?
Yes, yeah. So I did want to mention we'll have a Connect group, an NC Tech Connect, which I think we started last year, but we didn't kind of have a lot of traction there.
Yep.
So it's kind of in my realm to be checking in with everyone, making sure everything's going good, seeing if you have any questions, and then y'all can also bounce ideas off each other throughout the year. So that's the NC Tech Connect group, and then we'll also be scheduling, I think in March, kind of just like a mid-session check-in with leaders, and I think maybe Yesenia might be joining us for one of those check-ins, just to kind of give any best practices or kind of review the past couple of months and see if there's anything we can help with. So definitely, and so we'll try to be accessible and making sure that we provide any resources along the way that y'all need. So
thank you. Great slides.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Well, there aren't any more questions. You're welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. Really excited for you all and look forward to checking in with you guys in a few months in the new year. So happy holidays and thank you, NC Tech team, for all of your amazing for sharing and leading your network. I appreciate it.